Welcome to the KW Next Gen podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Pennington, and part of the Next Gen team. Here, we will hear stories from young adults who are living big lives and attaining really big goals. KW Next Gen is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded by Gary Keller of Keller Williams. Our mission is to empower and equip the next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs with the tools needed to remove limiting beliefs, take action, and live a big life. KW Next Gen is founded on the models and systems of Quantum Leap, the material that Gary Keller has been teaching for years. It helps people understand how to build big businesses, to live really fulfilling lives, to understand financial literacy, and remove all of those blockages. So join us as we talk with our young adults who are implementing these practices and really accomplishing their big dreams at a young age. We'll also have a chance to talk with our instructors, board members, and coaches who are feeding into the next generation and making a really big impact on their community and our world at large. So let's jump right in. Hi, Inaki. How are you doing today?
Good, Caitlin. How are you?
I am doing so good. I am so excited to chat with you today and just learn more about your story. I know you are doing some really exciting, cool stuff in the world, both inside of your career and outside. So I'm so excited to just learn more. To start off, can you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let me know how old you are and where are you from?
Yeah, so my name is Iñaki Guerrero. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. I am 21 years old, and I'm currently a senior at the University of Texas at Austin, studying finance with a focus on commercial real estate.
Yes, wise beyond your years, and have a lot of life and wisdom under your belt for a 21-year-old. I can attest to that. I've had a chance to get to know you over the last couple of years, and just such a joy and so much fun to be around. You're just, when you say 21, it just like is so shocking to me. I'm like, you're only 21. Wow. Like, what a testament to who you are and your character.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I feel the same way about you. I feel like every time I talk to you, I not only learn a ton, but always leave with a smile on my face. So it feels mutual.
Awesome. So in your own words, what is KW Next Gen and how are you involved? How do we know each other?
Yeah, of course. So in my own words, KW Next Gen is a program founded by Gary Keller, who in turn was the founder of Keller Williams. And from my understanding, it creates programming, it creates scholarships, it creates mentorship programs that are meant to help young professionals or young people in general, not only professionally, but also in their personal lives.
Yeah.
And I'm involved specifically. I had the pleasure of going to a QL Summit, not once, but twice. And I went the first time as a regular attendee and the second time as a group leader. I also went through the mentorship program and also received the scholarship, and excited to get into what I did with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're just like such an asset to the whole community. So, and you said that you came to QL Summit the first time. I know a little bit about how you got there and everything, but can you share about your first experience? That was your first Quantum Leap, right? When you came to QL
Yes.
Summit the year before. Okay. So, yeah, just share with me like your first impression, or how did you hear about it? What did you think going into it?
For sure, yeah. So I was invited by a friend of mine named Laura. She and I met when I was 16, 17. I was in high school, and we met volunteering at another mini conference that from one of our real estate mentors at the time. And we hadn't really spoken. We kept in touch occasionally, but it had been like 2 years since we had actually kind of interacted. And she reached out. She's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. You should totally come, consider it. And I remember I was like on my phone at the time. She said, you should come to this. And I was like, I'm there in like 30 seconds. Like it was one of those things where I kind of just jumped on the opportunity and didn't ask too many questions, to be perfectly honest. It thankfully was in Austin, which is where I was. And I ended up going, not really sure what to expect. And it was very, very quickly, I learned that it was completely different than any other conference or programming that I'd been to. And yeah, I mean, it's been life-changing, quite literally.
That's awesome. So funny. Almost everyone that I've interviewed so far has mentioned Laura Daly. And Laura is just such a big part of our community. She's one of the youngest members of our young adults, and yet she is just like such a good spokesperson for our organization. And I think it's really great to touch on the fact that like when it comes from your peers, right? When like the nonprofit is out there saying how great we are, or, you know, if Gary Keller is saying like, take a quantum leap, of course, some people may listen to that and jump at the chance. But I think it's also so great when it comes straight from your friends, from your peers. Like that's possibly why you were like, yeah, I'm there, is because you trust that Laura has good advice, that if she's recommending something to you and that goes around. Like same for you, like you would recommend it to someone else and it would come a lot more, would be more important coming from you than like me or an ad or whatever. So I think it's just so great. I love when you as the young people are like spreading the word within yourselves rather than it coming from us. That means a lot to us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely felt a lot more genuine than if I just kind of got an Instagram ad or something like that. Also, I trusted Laura's opinion, so whatever she told me to do, I was like, I'm there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I also trust Laura's opinion on things for sure. And so, like, what was that experience once you got there? You said it was different than any conference that you had attended. How is it different, or how did it like measure up to your expectations?
Yeah, for sure. So to be perfectly candid, I went into it thinking it was like a real estate conference. Like that's I kind of I knew who Gary Keller was. I expected it to just be me and a ton of realtors and just talking real estate and talking how to sell homes and everything like that. And really, really quickly, I learned that it wasn't that at all. Yes, there was a lot of people from Keller Williams, but there wasn't really too many conversations about commercial real estate or residential real estate for that matter. It was a lot more focused on internal growth and personal growth, which is something that at first I was a little bit hesitant. Like, I don't really know if I need this, but it became very abundantly clear after the first day that I was like, okay, this is something I should pay attention to. And after hearing Gary Keller talk for the better part of a day, I was like, wow, like this was not necessarily what I expected, but I'm so glad that I was able to attend and I'm glad I went into it with an open mind.
That's great. That's awesome. And you have an interesting overlap where you're not actually Keller Williams affiliated. You're still in college and still finishing your degree. But yet you're in real estate. Can you expand a little bit about that?
For sure. Yeah. So I actually started my career in residential real estate, or started my career, right? I met a guy who's a family friend who worked for Keller Williams, went to UT Austin, studied in McCombs, the business school, and I interned for him when I was 16, the summer after my sophomore year of high school. So that was kind of my introduction into residential real estate, and I completely fell in love. Like I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Really like it. I made UT Austin my dream school because I wanted to work for him and do all that stuff. So went through that process up until my sophomore year. I had gotten my real estate license, did student leasing. I paid for my own school, so I used the student leasing to do that. And then I got involved a little bit more into the commercial side of things, so the more finance based. And that was just from recommendations from friends, from family, some peers that were already in it. And I, because of that, I thought that it was a lot more of like a real estate focused event that I went to. But I think I can relate to a lot of the more like traditional path of going to school, getting your degree, going into the workforce, as opposed to just, or not just, but as opposed to getting your residential real estate license and going down that path. So I think I kind of see it a little bit from both perspectives, which is really cool. And I can see the pros and cons of both as well.
Yeah, how cool. And like, just like anything else, you take a step in the right direction, or one might say a quantum leap, right? A small step in the direction that feels right to you and something that interests you. And then, like, the path that already in just the last few years, it has taken you down probably a different path than you realized. And it will continue to do that. Like, the twists and turns that life takes is really neat and really exciting when you're able to follow your passions and try something new and then say, I really like this. Let me see where else it could
Mhm.
take me. It's neat to see that that's already starting to unfold in your life again at such a young age, and trusting that gut, where you're like, I found something young and like, let's see where this will take me. Very, very cool. So, and I know you're finishing up your senior year, right? You're sharing with me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what will you graduate with your degree?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's in business administration, like I said, with a focus in finance on the real estate track, is what we call it. So it's a focus on commercial real estate, the more finance side of it. And afterward, I'm going to be moving to Dallas and working on the private equity side of real estate.
Cool. That is so exciting and just such a great path that your career is already taking. I love it. Um,
Thank you.
so you've now attended QL Summit and attended the full QL twice. Like you said, you've been able to participate with a coach as well. With all of that, what are some of the models, or, there's lots of models, systems, and takeaways in the QL material. What is one or two of your favorites that you really implement to make these big goals attainable?
Yeah, of course. I think the one that stands out is the GPS, right? So you have a goal, you write it down, and to give a little bit more detail on what the GPS is, it's essentially you have your overarching goal, and a lot of the times you can come up with a goal and it just feels super far away, right? But if you break it down into meaningful steps and steps within those steps, it becomes a lot more attainable. And that was something that I discovered or was shown and taught at the first QL Summit, and it was really cool, kind of just being able to create my own GPS models after that. So that's definitely something that stuck with me and that I implemented not only in kind of long-term goals, but also like I want to accomplish XYZ by the end of the semester. And like, how am I going to do that? And yeah, I think that's definitely something that I'm going to take with me throughout the rest of my life in professional and personal career as well.
That is such a great one and such a usable tool. And the fact that, like you said, you can do different GPSs for different levels of goals. So a lot of times the way it's taught is like a 1 year goal, but you can do a 1 week goal. You can do a 1 month goal. You can do something that you don't know exactly how long it's going to take you, but you need to break it down into smaller steps. And it can be personally, it can be professional. But I think oftentimes what is difficult is that, especially someone like yourself that is a high achiever and sets big goals. Like, I know we were speaking about doing like a half Ironman. So this is like goes beyond just your career. You are someone that likes to do big goals, and yet being able to be like, okay, what is my first step? What is the next step? Break it down. And so you are able to break it down to priorities and strategies to be able to say, like, what do I need to focus on? And then you can break those down even further of like, what do I need to do this week? What do I need to do today to get further on that path? So very cool.
Absolutely. Thank you.
One of the key parts of Quantum Leap that really stands with people for a long time is the mission statement. So would you be able to share your mission statement and tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. So the mission for my life is to enact positive change in the world by creating a real estate company that invests in low-income housing and helps my tenants by creating programs that help them through financial literacy training, Bible studies, networking, and other things like that. That's something that really stands and sticks with me because it combines two things that I'm really passionate about, which is real estate, both on the residential and the commercial side, but also kind of that philanthropic and feeling good and helping people. And it combines both of those endeavors, and it's something that really motivates me. And the way that I kind of work, to your point of saying that I have a lot of goals, like I'm very, very goal oriented, and I feel like if I'm not moving towards something, I'm kind of just standing still and moving backwards. So this goal and kind of the perspective and what you guys taught me, and you guys as in KW Next Gen, as far as like the mission statement isn't something that you should ever be able to achieve, right? Like it's not like a finite thing. It's a thing that pushes you throughout your life. And I found that this goal is something that I don't want it to end with me. Like I at the time when I pass away, I wanted to be passed on to someone else, right? And I want that fund and that ability to help low income housing people. I want that to supersede me and everything like that. So that's a goal that means a lot to me. It can motivate me both on my professional and personal side at the same time, which I think it's quite literally like the best goal that I could have come up with. So I'm really happy that I was able to discover that, thanks in large part to QL Summit.
Yeah, I mean, your mission statement has so much there and so much meaning behind it. There's a couple things that I want to like pull on there. First is a lot of people your age, and no fault to them, but they're seeking out maybe what's going to pay the bills the best, or
Mm-hmm.
what's going to be the title on a resume, because that's really a lot of times taught to us as like what's important. Especially again at a young age, you want to accomplish that. You want to establish yourself in the world. You want to be able to pay for things and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what you touched on there is like you're doing those things. You're someone that wants to set big goals, and that's absolutely great. You're going to be so successful in your career. But the meaningfulness behind it and the impact that you're having will far like outgrow you. And like you said, one day when you pass away, when I'm like 100 and whatever, and you're 90 something, and I like be like, hey, Inaki, how's it going? You're going to know that like you've accomplished this legacy that's going to outlive you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that is so, so powerful. And it does help us achieve our goals, both professionally and personally, because to your point, like, you can't achieve that big goal if you're not healthy or if you're not taking care of the whole self. Earlier, when you mentioned Quantum Leap and thinking it was real estate and thinking about selling and buying, and really it was like so much more about self-development, you were like, do I need this? Like maybe naturally you kind of already have those in who you are. But the fact that like, yes, people can have big careers, but if they're not like fulfilled as a human being, if they don't feel like they're contributing to the world, then I would argue to say that only goes so far. You can be rich, but like, are you really rich in life necessarily?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things that stuck out to me a lot when hearing Gary Keller talk at the QL Summit, was that he not only focused a lot on like the financial side and growing in that perspective, but also he spent a ton of time talking about his diet and his workout regimen and how he did that, which I thought was super duper cool. Like besides the fact that I took a ton of notes, like it was very interesting being like, what's the point of having all this money if you are in a wheelchair when you're 50?
Mhm.
So that's something that I felt like really resonated with me. And like, you can't just have one goal and have everything else kind of pushed to the side. Like it's a very holistic thing where you have to have a lot of different goals and they all kind of have to move in a positive direction together.
Yeah, absolutely. And why is the piece of creating this financially responsible housing around the world, why is that important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's one of the things that I saw a lot of growing up. I am the first person in my family to be born in the US. And while I never really struggled and like wasn't never homeless, never really was on food stamps or anything like that, my family and I would volunteer during like Holy Week every single year since I was like 3 years old up until the point when I was like 18, around impoverished communities around Texas. So I saw firsthand what the lack of consistent housing can do for a community. And that's one of the things that, like I said, it really combined two things that I was passionate about, right? Like I really like real estate and I like meeting people and I like the human aspect of real estate. And I also just like that human aspect of talking to people and going to communities and understanding not necessarily a market, but understanding a community and like finding my place in that. It really did combine two things that I think about a lot on almost a daily basis. And that's why that specific niche is so important and it's so passionate for me.
Yeah, wow. And that's so neat to hear that like that was something that your family planted that little seed when you were younger and just exposed you to something. And I think that's so important. And we realize that not everybody gets to have a home or has the comfort of knowing where their home is going to be long term. And being
Mhm.
able to provide that to more people around the world, being able to provide, and just all that you're going to do and are already doing, even providing more job opportunities to people and different in your commercial real estate direction. It's like the more opportunity that you're able to have, the more you're able to create opportunity for others. And it's like that is so important in our world. And the way that we can look at success to where it's like it creates success for other people, and it doesn't have to be from a greedy lens. It can be from like when I am able to attain my goals and dreams, it helps others to be able to attain theirs. And sometimes that is having a home, which I think a lot of us take for granted and realize that like not everybody has that luxury. It really is a luxury to have a home and a roof over our heads, and to remind ourselves of that. So that's amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm excited to I'm not super excited to graduate to be honest, but I'm excited to get started with this goal and kind of get into the workforce and see what form it takes.
Yeah, I know. Adulthood is so great and kind of a scam. So you're going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. Pros and cons, I'm sure. A little bittersweet moment.
Yeah, trade offs for sure. And so, kind of thinking about that and moving into like the next phase of your life, I know you had a chance to go through the KW Next Gen coaching.
Mhm.
What was your experience with the coaching? And if you want to share like who your coach was or what you got out of the coaching, that would be great.
Yeah, so I was blessed and fortunate enough to have Deborah Perlman as my coach. And once again, I went into it and it was kind of funny. So the first meeting we had, she was like, okay, she had a kind of like a tracker meant for realtors and was like, okay, talk to me. How many calls are you making? How many leads do you have? All that stuff. And I'm like, actually, I am a sophomore in college. Like, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And from there, it completely changed in a way that I never really could have expected. And because of a lot of other external stuff that was going on in my life, that was a very tough semester and kind of year of college. It was peak recruiting from my junior internship, which is really stressful. I was at a very heavy course load. There was some stuff going on back at home that I was dealing with, and so it literally became not at all what I expected. It was I would call her, I think it was once every 2 3 weeks, and I'd be like, "Hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is how I'm navigating my life. This is what I'm struggling with," and she'd be like, "Okay, these are little tiny tangible things that you can do to help." So it'd be like, "Oh, what are you struggling with?" And I'd literally tell her, like, I keep missing my meetings. Like I have 8 meetings a day with classes, with coffee chats, with everything that I'm trying to do, and I can't keep up. She's like, one step that you could do, like set instead of 2 reminders, set 4 and see how that works. Or I told her one time I was like, I really struggle like getting out of bed when I wake up and like I just stay on my phone like for way too long. She's like, what you're going to do is you cannot be on your phone until you make your bed. And that's a promise you're going to make me and a promise you're going to make yourself. And it wasn't like huge, crazy things that she was asking me to do, but it was little tiny things that throughout a semester, however, 6 meetings, whatever we had, really made a profound change. And like on the last one, I promised her, I was like, I'm going to put all of these into practice and happy to say that I have done that. So a huge thank you to her. She quite literally changed my life and was exactly what I needed at that time.
That's so nice to hear. And yeah, she is just a gem of a human being and has coached a lot of our young adults, and really is just invested. And just for anyone that's listening, that I know we're talking a lot about real estate, but our coaches coach people that are not in real estate, or in your case, like you said, you were still in college, yes, in the real estate track, but not like in the business yet. And I think it's important to just know and inform everyone that what's so great is our KW Next Gen coaches, they do work as coaches for top agents around the country within Keller Williams. They are professional coaches who get paid very well by successful business people to coach them. However, they donate this time to those of you that are 18 to 29 and apply and get accepted into the coaching. So oftentimes, if you are a young realtor, you happen to be within the Keller Williams ecosphere, or you're working in your real estate business, then yes, of course, they're going to coach you the way that they coach other realtors. However, what's really neat about our coaches is they come to me on a regular basis and say, a breath of fresh air to get to coach someone that's doing something different, that is maybe still in college like yourself, or working on, and a lot of our college students are like athletes. So they're working through like some kind of goal. We've even had people like trial for the Olympics and so on and so forth. So it like totally not real estate related at all. Others have used it to get into medical school, or maybe they're already in med school. And so they're working with their coach, totally not anything about real estate, right? Like they are somehow, and others are starting their own business in every different, in film or in wellness, or like all these different industries. So I just wanted to like clarify that too. And what's so great is, like I said, the coaches come to me and they go, I'm growing as a coach too, because sometimes as coaches, maybe they kind of get on this pattern of like, here's how I coach, here's what I'm going to tell a realtor to do. And then someone comes along like yourself and is like, actually, that's not what I'm doing. I need help in these other areas. And the coach gets to grow as a human being too, because they're kind of taken out of their comfort zone while she's giving you advice or tools or tactics to follow. So just wanted to share that with like anyone listening, just to make sure that's like, you don't have to like turn this off and be like, I'm not in real estate, this doesn't pertain to me. Like our coaches are top notch for any industry whatsoever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's because one thing I wanted to highlight for sure is, while I am technically going into a real estate related field, like at the end of the day, I went through a very similar college experience as any other college student. Went through the orgs, went through kind of all the groups and everything like that, and the classes. And just because I ended up in real estate doesn't mean that I had a different college experience than anyone else. So I think anyone, whether you're in college or not, or studying real estate or not, the KW Next Gen and the QL Summits, like they have a place for you. And I do think that they have very, very positive impacts on everyone that I've spoken to that's gone through them.
Yeah, love that. And even just circling back around to like the tidbits that Deborah gave you, I think sometimes it's important for like an outside source. Like when we are in, it's like you're in the storm and you can't see outside of the storm, and someone's just like, hey, if you just take a step to your right, or here's this little suggestion, you're going to be able to see clearly again. And even just you saying the like waking up in the morning and being on your phone, like, I mean, the amount of people that probably are like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Recently I actually got an alarm clock, good old fashioned alarm clock. I know some of you youngins maybe don't even know that exists, but I'm just old enough to know that there's real alarm clocks out there that are not your phone. And I now plug in my phone in the living room and I don't even take it into the bedroom. Therefore, my alarm gets set. And so then I wake up and do like quite a few things in the morning before I even look at my phone, because I was finding that, yeah, if this little device right here is my alarm and the first thing I touch is that, then there's a notification. Oh, I'm going to do that really quick. Oh, I wanted to look that up. Oh, I need to take care of that. And next thing you know, you're like, the first, hour of your day is just completely like swept up in things that you didn't even plan on doing. So my extra little tidbit to hers as well.
There we go. I love it. I'm gonna have to add that one. Order a Amazon alarm clock today.
You can find them on Amazon. They're easy to find. I got a cute little one that matches my room. It's great.
No, I love
And it helps too, where you don't, you're not looking at a screen first thing in the morning either, which is really good for you. So, yeah, there's a little tidbit. So you did touch on some of this, but if you want to expand at all, if there was a young person that came to you and said, all right, what's this hype about KW Next Gen? Why should I attend a class, or what would I get out of the coaching or scholarships? Like, what would you tell your friend that asked you that?
Yeah, of course. I have had friends ask me that. And kind of the conversation that I like to have is this. There is a lot of groups and organizations and programs that claim to do something very, very similar, but I haven't found or don't know of any that really combine it all together. And a lot of them have community, a lot of them have great leaders, a lot of them have scholarships maybe, but I haven't found one that really meshes all of those together and not only builds a community with other like-minded people, but it does so with people from all over the country doing all different types of things, and it actually gives you a scholarship and not only just kind of hands you a check and is like, go ahead, do whatever you want, but it teaches you how to use that. And I think at 18 to 29 years old, it's really easy to just be like, I will do anything for this check and kind of just forget about it. But having someone tell you like, okay, I'm going to give you this money, but it's because I want you to do this with it, or I want you to change your life or follow your mission statement. And it's something that I really haven't heard of. And I think it's kind of a beautiful thing talking to other people about what's your mission statement. And it's really, really cool conversations to be having at such a young age. And I think it's like a lot of people say, like the defining decade of your life. And I think surrounding yourself with people that are thinking about things in the same way that you are is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I say this often. You may have even heard me say this, but how I witness it is it's like peer pressure in a good way. When I see you all interacting and having conversations, I mean, quite frankly, a lot of times Gen Z, Gen Alpha, even millennials, like, but get like a bad rep or something. And it's just every generation that comes up after the one before it, whoever we are, right, has some kind of like little look to it. That's just how generations go. But when I witness you all speak to each other, when I witness you share your mission statement, when I witness the good that you want to do in the world, I genuinely say to people, like, I have hope for the future. I really think that the world is in good hands, because if these are truly the leaders of tomorrow, you all have this really, really global mindset that most generations before you have not had. And it's a gift, even, at my age, where it's like we've grown up with the internet, we've grown up with our, like, the whole world at our fingertips. And while that has its downsides in some ways, when you all are having your conversations, just the mindfulness that you speak to each other with, the expansiveness that you all encourage out of each other, it truly is like a testament to your generation of like big thinkers. And I think it's like if more people got to overhear your conversations and got to see these conversations, and hopefully this podcast is a kind of a opportunity for that, then like people will have the hope of saying like, okay, if Inaki is one of our leaders that is like taking over the world after the generation that's in charge right now, we got some good, we've got it in good hands for sure. So
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's
I
great.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you all just inspire me. I love just being around you, because then it like wears off on me. So
The positive peer pressure, I'm gonna take that from you. That's a good one.
yeah, exactly, right? It's like when people like ask if they should attend one of our big events or something, I'm like if a parent is asking why or something, I'm like, when you're worried about who your kids are hanging out with or whatever, like this is like the place you want your kids to hang out. You want this to wear off on them. You want them to have these conversations. You want these young people to feed off of each other in a good and positive way. It's really, really neat. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, just taking us to like, these are all the positive parts and all the things that you've accomplished. Is there anything that you feel like Quantum Leap has helped you overcome? Like, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Like, what is maybe a challenge that it has helped you with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, as I kind of alluded to earlier, first semester of my junior year of college was overwhelming as it is for a lot of people. It's kind of that like cliff that you get to where you're like, oh my God, like my next internship might be the job that I have when I graduate, or the group of friends that I have now might be like my lifelong friends. And it's just, you kind of get to that upperclassman part of your college experience. And to be perfectly candid, like it was very difficult, and it still kind of is, and it was throughout college, right? Especially paying for your own school and kind of navigating everything that comes with that, right? Like having two jobs in a semester and taking a full course load and having your family be 8.5 hours away, right? And stuff like that. brings a lot of pressures that a lot of people just don't really relate to or understand, especially being kind of the first person in your family to go to college, and having a group of people that I could kind of talk to and relate to, um, as well as just kind of be like, hey, like I'm feeling this. Like, what are your thoughts? And to that point that I said earlier, like Deborah was incredible for that. Like I remember it was really funny, and it would happen week after week where I would be just really, really struggling, and I'd be like, oh my god, like I'm overwhelmed with interviews, I'm overwhelmed with classes, with tests, with work, and I would talk to her and be like, it wasn't even that bad. Like she would kind of change my perspective on the whole thing, and it wasn't that the problems were getting smaller, but my perspective had been reframed, and I think that and learning how to do that is something that I had never really been taught, and it was something that I never really had to do. So having someone that quite literally was just there in your corner and there to support you no matter what was incredible. And it was something that I can talk about with my friends now and be like, hey, listen, like I know you're going through this, but let's reframe it a little bit. Like you're super blessed to be here. This is your dream school. This is exactly what you were begging to do every single day for your entire 4 years of high school. Like it's not that bad, right? And it by changing your perspective, I like to say like you're kind of zoomed in on one problem, but once you zoom out and be like, wow, like look, like the opportunities that I have are incredible. Like I'm blessed to be struggling in this way. Or it was like a quote the other day that I listened to. It's like it is a blessing to be like tired from something that of your own choosing. And that was something that like really, really stuck with me. It's like I can't complain about this. Like I chose to do this, right? Like if I'm training for a half Ironman, I'm like, I do not want to wake up at 5 a.m. to go swim. It's like I chose to do this. Like this is incredible. Or I have a test. It's like I go to the best business school in the state. Like I chose to do this. Like this is incredible. So having the conversations with Deborah really changed my perspective on that.
I love everything you just said. That was so inspirational and just such a good reminder. I think that that's a good reminder on a day-to-day basis that oftentimes the things that feel challenging or the things that we're stressed out about are actually the things that we like dreamed about and asked for and signed up for. And if we're not being slightly challenged by it, then we're probably not growing and we're probably not like outgrowing the past version of ourselves. And I think that's so important no matter where anybody is in life or even on our like toughest days, like to reframe. There's something that we can find of saying, I get to do this. This is teaching me something. This is helping me grow in some way. One thing you said too is that you're able to help your friends with that perspective too. That a lot of times we go through something so that then in the future we can help someone go through it too, right? And sometimes it's like, well, I'm learning this so that then I can teach someone else in the future. And that's not always fun, but it's like it's important and it's great work. So really, really like
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
I'm super blessed to have been able to do that, by the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you'll continue to, like, as you continue forward, you know, you'll continue to have new challenges and there will be days that you get bogged down in the stress. It happens to the best of us. And then being able to say, okay, like, why am I so weighed down by this? And how can I reframe it into an opportunity rather than a setback or something? And I also just really liked what you said too about the time in your life where you're creating those lifelong relationships and really cherishing them. I mean, I still am very, very close to a lot of the people that I went to college with. And they too, like throughout my life, have been that good peer pressure because they have worked for really amazing companies. They have been super career driven, but they're also really, really amazing human beings. And that, you know, that is something that like when you pick and choose the people you're surrounded with, which is something that is addressed in Quantum Leap, is like when you surround yourself with certain people and you're really purposeful about the people you're surrounded with, they can push you forward in a positive way. In the same way as like if you surround yourself by default or by not so helpful people, that can drag you sometimes too. And so just being mindful of those friendships and relationships that you're creating is really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. It gets more and more important the older you get, for sure, is kind of what I've realized.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, applause to you too on a different note of like being the first to go to college and to forge your own path. And that's so neat too, where it's like you've realized that it's like, okay, you were given a direction, you were given tools that maybe previous members of your family didn't have the opportunity, and you're making the most out of it too. And you'll be able to create more opportunities for others. And it's like college doesn't have to be the path for everyone, but if it is a good path, that if it is the right choice for you, then like make the most out of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
There are a lot of these like self-development tactics out there. I think that's what's really neat about this day and age. There's like you can get on TikTok, any app, any website, whatever, and books and all the things, right? Everybody's a coach. And there's all these self-development tactics. But what do you think makes QL different than some of the other things that you've tried?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and I've been very fortunate to have tried a lot of other things. A lot of them focus on real estate or not focus on real estate. And I want to focus a little bit on the point that you said. It's like anyone can be a coach. And while it's great, everyone has perspectives, they should be able to share them and teach others. It's really important, especially at a young age, to choose your mentors wisely. And I think QL Summit, like I said before, about it combines everything as far as community and scholarship and programming and everything like that. It does a really good job at vetting the people that it puts in front of their kids. And I found that everyone that I interact with has been not only extremely qualified, but also a genuine good person that wants to help me. And it feels really easy to be vulnerable with them. And I could tell Deborah, like, hey, I'm struggling with this personal issue that I might not have wanted to tell someone in a more professional setting, right? Or if I did for example, commercial real estate program, I might not tell them how I'm struggling in my personal life. Whereas with this, even though she's not like my therapist or anything like that, like it was really cool having someone that I could just be vulnerable with. So I think that's where it really stands out for me. Not only the combination of everything that it has, but also just the amount of care and compassion and quality that the people that are a part of the program have has really made it stand out amongst a plethora of different things that I've done throughout my last like 4 years in college.
Yeah, wow, that is such a great perspective and one that I wouldn't have thought of like first off the top of my head. So thank you for sharing that. And I think it really comes from the fact that it's a volunteer opportunity, not to say that anyone being paid, like when she gets paid with her clients, right? I'm sure she puts just as much genuine care, just knowing her as a person, but also the fact that like she doesn't have to be coaching you. And so the fact that she wants to and takes time out of her busy schedule to do so, she probably really does care, right? That like that makes sense. And the fact that she cares about you as a whole human being, not just a producer or not just, to-do list to cross off, but to really like engage with that. And yeah, the relationship with the coaches do tend to expand beyond just professional. Oftentimes they do tend to be more of like a mentor and venture into like that personal realm because they're invested in you because they've donated their time to be invested in you. So I'm so glad that you had that experience, which is a great segue into our last question as we wrap this up. So we've talked a lot about what people 18 to 29 in your age range can benefit from these programs. So if someone's listening and they're over 30 and they're interested in becoming like a donor or an instructor or a coach, since we've talked so much about coaching, what would you tell someone over 30? Like, why should they invest in the entrepreneurs and the leaders of tomorrow like yourself?
Yeah, no, of course. Well, kind of how we were talking about, there's a lot of programs that do something or try to do something very similar. It's important to figure out exactly like kind of who you're giving your money and your time and your energy to. And one of the things that I've kind of seen is a lot of the people that are involved with this program give back. It's a conversation that I have often with different friends that I've made through QL Summit and through the programming, where it's like, dude, I can't wait to make it, or I can't wait to achieve my goal so I can give back. And it's kind of that reciprocity that I think you can't really find in a lot of other places. Like, sure, you can donate $1 million and get your name on the side of a building, right? But like, what does that really do for the community? What does that do for everyone else? Whereas the same donation here not only helps the people like today, right? But I feel incredibly fortunate and blessed to have been given a lot from a lot of different people, and I'm fully intent to give back in a very similar way. And I think that that's something that a lot of my friends and peers in the program have that same idea. So I would urge people as they kind of navigate being like, where do I want to volunteer? Or where do I want to donate money to? Or where do I want to spend my time and my energy to do something and give those resources to someone that's gonna give back and kind of use those appropriately. And I think that the platform that KW Next Gen has been able to cultivate does exactly that. So that's kind of my 2 cents as to why my little pitch as to why KW Next Gen. But there's a ton of other reasons, and I'm sure a lot of people have different perspectives as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great perspective because I think sometimes if you donate to a cause like KW Next Gen, you don't realize that, and especially if you're an instructor or a coach, but even if you give a donation, you're leading by example. And, when people do donate or they donate their time, I really hope that they understand. And if anyone is listening that is either going to be or is a donor, instructor, or coach, you are leading by example. To Inaki's point, where like you all are learning from them to give back to your communities. And I see it time and time again in all of you. You have this common thread of passion of wanting to make the world a better place, to give to those less fortunate, to create opportunities to others. And that is because there are parts of that have been given to you and you've seen the benefit and you want to pass it along. And like, I don't think that domino effect should ever be underestimated. And it can be a $10 donation or helping, with a class one day. And you have no idea how much impact that could make on another person.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I have loved hearing your perspective and just can't wait to see all the cool stuff that you do in the world and all the people that you help. Truly, truly excited to see what you do in the future and near future and far away future, both. Is there anything else you want to share or say before we wrap up?
Yeah, just want to say how fortunate and thankful I am, right, to have been not only invited by Laura. It feels like a great full circle moment. Like I didn't think that this is where it kind of would have led me to, but I'm excited to continue to be involved. I'm excited to give back. I'm excited to get to a position where I can give back a little bit more, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, I mean, this is a group of people that I want to continue to surround myself with, and I'm excited to see not only the individuals that I've met, but also overall like what KW Next Gen does and what's next in store for them.
Amazing. Well, anyone that has listened to this can clearly see that you at 21 years old, you are the leaders and the entrepreneurs of tomorrow, but truly the leaders and entrepreneurs of today as well. And, I think that anybody that wants to get involved, if you're in your 20s, get involved with coaching, get involved with a class. You can find all the information, kwnextgen.org. And if you are interested in being a coach, a donor, or instructor, you can see that you're really feeding into people like Inaki, and it's a good cause to do. So thank you so much for your very valuable time. I know that you are a busy, busy guy. And I just am so grateful that we had a chance to talk.
Yeah, super pumped that I was surprised to get the invitation for this, but I'm glad I did, and it was great. I had an amazing time, and I'm excited to see kind of what form it takes.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for joining for this episode of the KW Next Gen podcast. We hope that maybe your interest was piqued to attend a class or get more involved. If you're between the ages of 18 and 29, we would love to have you in a Quantum Leap class. So go to our website, kwnextgen.org, and click events. Find maybe an event in person near you or an event online. They're always being added, so check back if you don't see one that fits your schedule. And if you're beyond 30, we would absolutely appreciate you considering being a donor. KW NextGen cannot provide these events, coaching, or scholarships without generous donations like yours. So again, visit our website at kwnextgen.org and click donate. If you become a monthly donor, you get great perks, or a one-time gift is always appreciated of any size. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time. This podcast is for general information purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not KW NextGen and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This product is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information.